Alrighty peoples, this is part 2 of the Sonic Riders playthrough, and I'm sorry to have to start this again, but I didn't realise the laptop had set the recording of the narration onto the laptop microphone and not my headset microphone. Laptop microphone is a piece of shit as far as I'm concerned. I know it's worked on MSN before, but it's a piece of shit for things like this. And yeah, sorry, I am stuttering quite a bit. Anyway, Splash Canyon, second course in story mode, second course you'll tackle in the entire game properly, and the only other course where you have a bit of leeway and you can come in third place, but that's you have to at least come in first place. All the other courses in story mode after this, you have to come in first place. There is no leeway, but once you've got the hang of the game, you know, it's not too bad. But anyway, I suppose I should get on to my thoughts on this course. Well, obviously it's not hard. You know, second track in the game, it isn't going to be too hard. Somewhat enjoyable. And yeah, I do like this track. But anyway, I suppose I should get on to a few points about this game I never mentioned before. There's segments like these where you will need to rotate the analog stick. It's a pain in the arse, but the faster you rotate, the more air you get back, but you know, it's a pain in the arse. Plus there's character specific abilities. As you can see, Tails has just flown for a bunch of rings. Because Tails is a flight type character, he can fly through these rings. Other flight type characters are Wave, and some unlockable characters like Rouge and Cream. Speed type abilities consist of grinding, and speed type characters are Sonic, Jet, and unlockable characters such as Shadow and Amy. Well, Amy's not an unlockable character, she's there right from the start, but you can't play her in story mode. And then there is the power types, which is Knuckles, Storm, Eggman, and an Eggman robot. I think one of the Eggman robots is a power type. I'm not entirely sure. And they have the ability to smash through items. And using each of these abilities will increase your air as well. Plus they're really handy shortcuts, so they really are recommended. Though most of the time the power shortcuts aren't that fantastic, I find. But that's my personal opinion. Some other people might find otherwise. Speed type characters and flight type characters are my favourite to use, but it depends on the course. With this course I prefer using the flight types. With Green Cave I also prefer using flight types, and speed types I prefer using in Metal City, and that. It tends to be very close to the story mode anyway, my preference of characters, usually. But anyway, this is another bugbear about the story. They end up in different locations without any explanation as to how they got there. It's just all a bit random, and it kind of bugs me as well. One thing I did like about this is the rivalry between Knuckles and Storm. It's kind of funny how they're just threatening to beat each other up, and they end up beating up on this poor robot without any intention of doing so. One thing I will say about Storm is that I think his voice is kind of makes him sound quite stupid, to be honest with you. And this is Dan Green, and Dan Green's awesome, usually. And I also like that Storm's a really apologetic character. Usually. Depends on the person that he's talking to, really. He didn't intend to hurt that robot, so he got all apologetic. I think it's quite sweet in a way. But then he's badass at the same time. I think Storm's a very underrated character. Jet and Wave were the ones getting all the attention from the Babylon Rogues, but Storm was just sort of, where the fans was concerned, in a back seat. Anyway, we're on the third course. Now we have to come in first place because we're actually going up against the Rogues now. Well, we're going up against Storm anyway. And the next race will be up against Wave, and the last race, well, the fifth race will be up against Jet. And the last race will be up against Jet as well, but that's not really a competition race. But we'll get to that later. This track is a lot harder than the other two, but it's not ridiculously hard. It just takes a bit of getting used to. So if it's the first time playing, don't expect to beat it on your first attempt. But I think it depends on the gamer as well. Obviously you can tell this takes place in Eggman's factory. And there was a shortcut in the wall there, but I missed it. And it's also handy for using your power ability to break through the wall. Sorry, I am stuttering. I don't intend to, but sometimes when I've spoken for a little bit, it's a problem that does crop up. But I wanted to do commentary, so I'm going to do commentary, so stuff it. It's not really that bad, I suppose. Once you've got the hang of this track, it really is quite easy, I think. I suppose I prefer using power types on this track because I'm used to it after playing through the story mode so many times, but the doppelganger at this stage, Ice Factory, I actually prefer using a speed type, even though in the story mode you use Storm, who's a power type. Some people don't actually like using types of characters, they just want each of them to have their own abilities based on their own merits, but you know, whatever. You know, it's a spin-off, I'm not too bothered. Whoop! I'm really running out of things to say now. One thing I will say is that I don't really mind the music on this stage. Well, this track, I should say. I don't mind the music. It's not memorable, but then again, none of the music is really memorable. But it's not bad. And jump. I find that if you jump well enough beforehand and get to the top area the bit before, you'll end up taking a huge leap in shortcut wise. And through the wall we go. This is quite a nice little shortcut, I like it. Though some people might find it's not a brilliant shortcut, I like it, but that's because it uses Knuckles' ability. And we're done. That's Knuckles' race finished in story mode. Yes, this is the only time you race Knuckles in Hero Story. Tails you'll race as in the next race, and that'll be the last time you race as him. You only race as Knuckles once, you race as Tails twice, and you race as Sonic 3 times. In Hero Story, that is, anyway. You also race as Sonic in... well, you use Sonic in the Babylon Guardian boss race, which is in the Babylon story, so yeah. See, 1 minute they were all in a factory setting and now they're in a jungle sort of setting. It makes no sense. There's no explanation as to how they get there. It's all very, very random. And this is my favourite line. Ha ha ha, Jet has checked Sonic out. Is Jet the first openly gay Sonic character? Stay tuned to find out. But we all know that Sonic belongs with Knuckles. Though some people are going to probably flame me now because, oh my god, that's yay! That's a man and a man, that's sick. I'll get over it. A, they're fictional characters. B, people can ship whatever the fuck they want, and if I want to ship Sonic with Knuckles, then I will ship Sonic with Knuckles.
I better be on my toes during this competition.
That's there is one thing that makes me happy about getting out of the Sonic fandom. I don't have to put up with all this couple war shit. If you've ever been in the Sonic fandom, you know that there are a bunch of purists where couples concerned, extremists. And they take the couples far too seriously in this game. Well, in this game. This series, they take the couples far too seriously. the worst ones I've come across. I'm very sorry to say this to any of the decent fans out there. I'm very sorry, but I have encountered many Sonic fans of people who want Sonic with Amy, who've been absolutely... Well, many fans of Sonic and Amy that I've come across have been absolute dickheads. And I say this as a person who likes the idea of Sonic with Amy, even though I personally prefer the idea of Sonic with Knuckles. There are loads of fans out there who are complete and utter dickheads. I'm not saying that every fan of Sonic and Amy is like this. I have met loads of decent fans who respect other people's opinions, but I've also encountered many dickheads. And a lot of them are 12-year-old kids who don't know any better, so I better not call them dickheads. Unless you're 16 and over, then you've got no excuse. I personally believe anyway. Then again, I was a dickhead myself at one point. Well, a bitch in any case. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm not ashamed to say I was a complete and utter bitch at one point, and ragged on off of other fans who didn't like what I liked. But you know what? I grew out of it. There's hope for everyone. But yeah, back to the game. Well, on another subject about couple shipping is where the Babylon Rogues are concerned. Many people ship Jet and Wave, but I personally ship Storm and Wave because I just think it's a lot more interesting. Plus, there's also the fact that matter. Officially, Wave is 18, Storm is 19, so the age gap's decent. Whereas Jet is 14 officially. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's just not for me. I don't mind Jet and Wave, but you know, that's just my opinion. If you like Jet and Wave, that's great. And I have no problem with it. Anyway, as for this track, I like this track. Especially when you realise you can take this whopping huge cobweb shortcut at the end. It's a pain in the arse if you miss the shortcut, in my personal opinion. So we're nearly done with this track. And I think once this track's done, we have one more cutscene and this part is finished. And yeah, it's an easy track. I will say that, especially if you're a flight type character, which you are in this race. Since you can just take this whopping huge shortcut, provided you've got enough air. If you haven't, then you've got to go all around these branches, and it's a pain in the arse. And then you ride a giant centipede. Yeah. So, out of interest, you know, feel free to leave comments telling me what couples you ship, but don't flame my choices of couples, because I know that my choices are a bit more different to the norm. Then again, what is the norm? Well, in the Sonic fandom, the norm is Sonic and Amy, Tails and Cream or Tails and Cosmo, Knuckles and Rouge or Shadow and Rouge. And I like all those pairings, but I'm a bit different to the norm. I like Sonic and Knuckles, Amy and Blaze, Tails and Marine, Shadow and Silver. You know, I suppose my choices are a little bit different from the norm. But if you respect my views, I'll respect yours. Anyway, enough about couples. We've been on about this for long enough. Let's get back to the game. And another drastic change of scenery to a fucking desert. We were in a jungle and now we're in a desert. No explanation. And Amy's obviously been knocked out of the race competition. You actually see that happening in the Babylon story. You actually go up against Amy while playing as Wave in the second track in the Babylon story. And there's Eggman nattering in the background. And see, all those Chaos Emeralds lying there. Sonic just willingly gives it to Eggman practically. And so does Jet. But then again, Jet don't really know what Eggman's like. But, well, he doesn't know what Eggman's like with the emeralds. He doesn't trust Eggman, but he doesn't know what he's like with the emeralds. But Sonic does, so there's no excuse for Sonic to just put the emerald there and say, hey, there you go, Eggman. It's all yours. See you next part, guys.